Yeah, I think we can start. You guys good starting? We're good starting. Let's have some fun. All right. So we're going to go all over the place on this one. There's no real fixed kind of bits. We're just going to have some fun. Anyway, so agenda. Obviously, thanks for the crew here at this neck of the woods for crying out loud. Give these guys a hug for putting this on. Having watched numerous people, and this is what, the 400th one? I didn't make it to the first B-sides, but we did the second one when we were still at the Pawn House in Las Vegas. And that was Nickerson and the team putting that on. So if you ever see those guys, give them a bloody big hug as well. Obviously, 2018, we have upgraded 2018 from 2017's dumpster fire. We'll have that one in a minute. We're going to have a long conversation about why we can't get shit right. About the human side of it, about the technology side of it, mentality reset, and a bunch of other stuff. How many of you don't know who I am, who are wondering who the hell the goateed kilted thing is? Good, okay, well, why the hell are you sitting there? Can you see that? Ish? All right. I've been creeping around this bloody industry for more years than I care to think of. I first got yelled at, and my first systems were confiscated when I was 14 years old. And that was a Commodore 64 and an Atari system, because we hacked into the bank. As it says, I've gotten yelled at for a few things. Apparently the airplane thing flared up again last night, which was quite fun while I was driving down here. Hanging out of the Calvio, causing chaos and mayhem. We're breaking humans. And we'll have conversations around breaking humans, and we're having conversations around blockchain. So this is 2018. It's been a bit of a shit show so far this year, and it's not pretty, and it doesn't look like it's going to get any better. This is why. Pretty much on an almost daily basis, another healthcare company goes, oops-a-daisy, sorry, we lost stuff. With GDPR coming along, everybody's going to be going, oh yeah, we lost all of our shit too. The ransomware in Atlanta, that one had to go in because of all the BS that's going around that one. What the ironic thing about that whole thing is, and I've got to be careful because we're recording this, is I might have had a couple of conversations at Hacker Halted last year with the very people who are like, we're perfectly safe here, the city is good and we're locked down and now we're going to pay ransomware. Microprocessor 4s, government finally admitting that shit's actually broken everywhere finally, and we keep blaming the Russians. Did any of you guys remember the days when we actually had the blame dice? If you don't, get a 6-sided dice and just put North Korea, China, Russia, Latvia, and a couple of other countries. And it's kind of interesting, you know, when whoever security company, Mandian, goes, we're going to blame, and you go, dice, we're blaming North Korea today. Fortunately, a lot of the times that's where we are. Obviously, Equifax keeps on. Equifax is like the Yahoo of the other last couple of years. Hey, yeah, we found out we lost even more data than we had before. This is why. That's how many records we lost last year. 1.9 billion of the damn things. Healthcare records, credit card records, everything you can damn well think about it. And the problem is this year, we're kind of breaking it down to 3 sections. We've got the folks of us who are in the know. We're preaching to the choir, hopefully, on this one. We know what the hell is going on. We still have too many organizations which are sitting there going, we're perfectly safe. Those are the ostrich CISOs, head in the sand until their asses get shot. And then we still have people who are unaware. And it's, unfortunately, a hell of a lot. And the question is, how? How do we communicate with them? How do we actually get those people involved? And to do that, let's just look at the humans that we actually have to protect and have to deal with. I'm sorry, can you guys see half of this or any of this or none of this? You're okay with it? All right. If I'm in the way, just throw something at me. So let's take a look at a nice statement. The beauty of humans, for all that we are, we have an equal capacity to evolve. It is a nice fuzzy statement that says even though we screw up, we probably should be able to do things a little bit better. And then, quite honestly, we have to look at us ourselves. And the reason we have to look at us is because of stuff like this. When we have to put a sign up that says, please leave the building before tweeting about the burning building, when we have to tell people don't feed or molest the crocodiles, and when we have to tell people which end of the chainsaw is wrong. This is what we have to deal with. And this is a bit of a problem. Because the fact that we have the capability and the capacity doesn't necessarily mean that we are. And it gets even more interesting. if we start looking at the standard bell curve, about 5.5 billion connected people around about 2020, that number fluctuates. Pick your number. It's like the number of people who are, how many jobs there are in security. I think a couple of months ago it was like 1 million were outstanding, and then it was a couple of million, and now I saw an RSA statistic saying we're 3.5 million people short in this industry. By the time the end of RSA gets out, it'll be like God knows how many. Standard bell curve mix. Let's take the standard mix. You remember the bell curve? Inside your work environment, those who are getting a pay raise, those who are getting a pat on the head, and those who are getting a pink slip. We do that with us. 15% at most, when you are talking to people, are going to understand or are going to get the concepts of security. 70%, basically, we will call them sheeple, I'm afraid. They will follow what everybody else is doing, and 15% basically have no clue. 1 through 6 is a secure password. The complex ones put 7, 8, and 9 on the end of the damn thing. You think I'm fucking joking. So we take a look at it globally. 825 million people get security. So we start taking a look at the US population. We work through the numbers. We figure out that basically round about 9% of the population, as we are having a conversation with them, will understand security. That's at a maximum. So when you are talking to end users, organizations, companies, people, friends and family, bear this in mind, because the rest of the 91% is this. So, those of you in the audience are sitting there thinking this. My retort to you is this. Let's take a look at passwords. We'll take LinkedIn on the left-hand side. 1 through 6. 750,000 people had 1 through 6 as their password. You bastards. 1 through 9. 100,000. Those are the complex ones. ABC, Maggie. Then we take a look at the healthcare stuff. This is great. I was giving a presentation end of last year somewhere, and I attacked Deloitte because it was fun to attack Deloitte. Then I realized as I walked into the bloody place, Deloitte was the main sponsor, and I'm like, probably shouldn't do that. So I went after Forbes instead. Forbes 113, Forbes 1, you get the idea. We are awful at this, unfortunately. And this is after us standing on stage for 20 odd years of bashing out about passwords. So, this is the blunt piece of it. How many of you guys know about the Black Report? If you don't, I would highly recommend you go grab a copy of it. I think the 2018 one's coming out, 2017 one's out. It's Nuix puts it out. Really, really nice report. Hit me up afterwards. I've got it online on a Dropbox with a bunch of other fun stuff. Or go online and grab the damn thing. It has some really, really good statistics. As you are talking to your organizations about security, as you're having conversations about why shit's actually relatively important, some of the statistics come out of here. 81% of hackers. Yes.
What was the name of the report again?
The Black Report. Nuix. N-U-I-X, I think, puts it out. Double check with me afterwards. I'm pretty sure that's who it is. 81% of us. We take your data, we get in, we take data inside the first 12 hours. So when you're talking to organizations and when you're listening to them and everything else, they're like, we've got a man that looks at our IDS, our IPS, and our logs, and he looks at them once a day. Well, congratulations. He's watched everything go that away. It's not good enough, if that's what you're doing. We change our tactics on a regular basis. So for when the vendor sits there and goes, I've got all these heuristics and I've got all this machine learning that tells us what hackers do. No, it doesn't work either. It's a whole bunch more. Well worth the read. Please do it. And for those of us that are remaining 9%, you're welcome to come sit here if you want, because you probably can't see a damn thing apart from my ugly mug. Yeah, come sit. There's plenty of spaces. Taser him. There we go. That works. So that's us, unfortunately. That tends to be where we are. And then we take a look at us a little bit deeper. The amount of us that there is going to be. 6 million needed, 2019, CEO Semantic Center. Shortage, give or take a bit, 1 million. Take your pick on your number. It's anywhere from 500,000 to 3.5 million, apparently. And we're still facing obstacles. Lack of expertise, inadequate staffing. And then we take a look at some of the nastiest statistics. I'm going to go through a whole bunch of the what the hell do we do about it. Come in, grab a seat. I wouldn't sit over there. You won't see anything but my sorry ass and my hairy white legs. Come sit over this way. So, security goes, aha, it's not just our problem. IT's got it covered. Yeah. All right. So, summary, where are we? We are adding more and more freaking technology. Obviously, we know that. We'll talk a little bit more about that one. We're basically putting it in the hands of a population which doesn't necessarily get it. Most of the places that we work, most of the stuff that we do is looking for the easy button. We're putting it in our homes, our lives, our cars, everything else. We're putting it in our clothing. We're integrating this entire set of architecture. And by the way, that very data center's worth of data that we wanted to keep all nice and secure, we're putting it all over the freaking place as well. And we don't have enough people, and we sure as hell don't have the eyes on the system. So, quick wrap up, this is where we are. And, at the same time, we still have to balance. We have to balance security and availability. Because we can't always go into an organization and go, I can secure it for you if I take it offline and lock it in the cupboard and put a man with a gun there. It doesn't really work. This is fun. So how many of you are on the pen testing assessment side of the world? I want to admit to it at this point, because I'm about to assassinate some of the red team stuff. So this is fun. This is where I have the frustration with red teaming, and I've done enough of it. It's still too freaking easy. Why is it too easy? Because all we have to do is this. We build our own employee portal, and we do it for healthcare, because healthcare is complex and a pain in the ass. And we basically go out there, we steal anthems or somebody's like that, we recreate it, and we put the company's logo on, and then we send an email to everybody who's got their private email and their company email out everywhere. And we send it out to them and go, hi, we are helping you understand healthcare. We are going to help you understand exactly how this stuff should work. And people go, oh, that's amazing. And we're like, we've been even nicer. Because we're such nice people, we've integrated it with your Active Directory. Because we're nice people. We're nice hackers. And they're like, oh, excellent, wonderful. And the employee goes, well, it says portal login. It must be safe. At which point, this is how many people hand us their credentials. That's on average. Who's clicking, by the way? You've got a clicky keyboard, haven't you? Those of us that have ADD-HD are really distracted at the moment. So, that's our success rate. And this is despite an absolutely metric fuck ton of end user training. And for those of you that wonder what a metric fuck ton is, this is what a metric fuck ton is. Next time you have to quantify it, as we have to do in our industry, feel free to use this slide. That actually reminds me, for those of you that are like, oh shit, I need to do, I am happy to hand over these slides. Hit me up afterwards, give me a card, steal one of mine. I've actually got a Dropbox, and it's safe because I don't payload the stupid thing. That's got a whole bunch of reading material, documentation, all sorts of fun shit that's up there, and I typically put these up there within like 24 hours. And worst case, obviously Adrian's got all the damn stuff that he loads up inside like 10 bloody minutes. All right, so everybody got the pictures of the metric fuck ton? Yes. Good. So, what is the state of where we are? This is us. 25 years plus of conferences. We are still bitching and whining about passwords. We're still blaming everybody we can possibly blame. I've blamed my grandmother for crying out loud, and she's 96 for God's sakes, for password management issues. Shit's still broken. Who should we blame? And this is where we, the industry, needs to take a pause. This is the logic on it. We spend so much time focusing on red teaming. We spend so much time basically saying, put the spandex on. The sparkly spandex is good. The red sparkly spandex is even better. And we can hop over the walls, jump over the fences, and break everything. Who gives a shit? We've been doing that for 25 years. And nothing's really changed. The people that are relying upon us are really starting to wake up and go, what the hell is going on? I just came back from a conference in San Francisco. And the senior leadership from all those places sat down and said, look, you keep telling us that shit's broken, and shit's still broken, and a lot of us are spending a lot of money on this stuff, and shit's still broken. And what the hell do we do? And how do we quantify risk? And how do we understand risk from security versus risk from the rest of the business? We've not done a good job of this. And we keep blaming everybody, and we keep basically putting more and more damn Band-Aids onto it. For those of you that kind of follow some of the stuff I do online, it's the blinky light syndrome. This is the problem. If we hadn't failed, we wouldn't have lost almost 2 billion bits of information last year. This is who we are, unfortunately. Those of you who come from I came from an English school background. We played, flipping all sorts of interesting schoolyard games. We're the bully. For 20-odd years, we've been able to break into everything. I've yet to fail to break into something, which is a real fun ego booster, but it sucks because it means we haven't done the right things. And that's an us thing. And we'll talk about communication and all that kind of stuff. Yes, we can blame other people, but ultimately, it's our responsibility. We've lost the core focus of what we should be doing, which quite simply is that. It's all it comes down to. This is not what we need anymore. Jumping over the fence, going, ha-ha, surprise, I broke all your shit, handing a report off and getting into the distance with the paycheck is not what we need to be doing. This is who has to win. Blue. Blue has got to start winning. We have got to do a much better job of it. Unfortunately, we've built a pretty decent-sized industry. I don't remember how many billions it is, but it's lots of billions on this damn whole thing. We keep finding more and more stuff. Again, for those of you that hit me online, I've got a decent single malt scotch collection. About a quarter of it's been paid for from bloody bug bounties. Real cool, real nice, but I'm like, holy crap. If this is me and there's a bunch of other people out there that are putting bug bounties, what the hell's going on? And we keep, as an industry, and this is really a bash on the vendors, we keep putting fucking patches and Band-Aids on this stuff. Rather than getting to the fundamental issues and fixing the problems, we keep Band-Aiding it. RSA's coming up in what, 3 weeks' time? And I'm betting there's going to be a whole... Well, we got the buzzword bingo cards. If anybody wants a buzzword bingo card, we actually have them now. Too much to fix, not enough people to do it. The guys who are meant to be defending the perimeter, quite rightly so, are throwing up their hands going, what the hell do we do? How do we do a better job? And yet the red team's going, aha, we keep breaking your shit. Quit it. We need to work together much more effectively, much more efficiently. And we need to hold these guys responsible. And I'm just as guilty. I work for a bloody vendor. And the problem is you see a breach and it's like, we gotta solve that problem. Well, no, you probably couldn't have. We do a bunch of work with the National Guard. We're actually doing a whole bunch of training for their leadership guys in a couple of weeks' time at Cyber Shield and then Cyber Yankee out in the East Coast. This is their thing. One team, one fight. We need a better playbook for the blue team. We do not need people standing up going, aha, I've got a new exploit and here's how I break it. Great, congratulations. Join your queue of 100 that came out today. How about actually taking a step back and fixing the problem? Stand shoulder to shoulder with somebody from the blue team and go, here's how we are addressing this. We have to coordinate and collaborate a hell of a lot more effectively than we are doing. And this whole fragmented solution shit, when a vendor comes in and goes, aha, I've got a solution, feel free to take them out and fucking taser them. At least it gives some level of satisfaction to begin with. Is it the death? No, it is not. Because we still are needed. Keeping the vendors honest, to be perfectly honest. Integrating into engineering, integrating into the software development lifecycle. You've heard it before, we've got to go through it again. And the mentality that we have, the hacker mentality. Oh, this is cute. How do I break it? How do I fix it? Well, great, okay, let's start again. That is needed. But it isn't needed to keep beating down on the industrials and the organizations going, hey, we keep breaking your shit. And from my case, obviously red team's needed because we still need to piss off the FBI. Because it's fun to annoy them every now and again. All right. Yelling's over. Let's see about fixing some of this. You get 2 seconds with a squirrel with a flamethrower because I need a drink of water. So for those of you that are here for the lightning stuff, I kind of yacked about this for a second. End user training. Yes, end users are a challenge. Yes, we actually want to probably taser them half the time. But rather than doing that, how about we actually educate them a little more effectively? Rather than just once a year standing there and going, don't click shit, don't send shit, look after my company, otherwise you don't get a paycheck shit. Why don't we actually try to help them protect their families? Why don't we say, hey, it's January, it's tax fraud season, here's what you do about it. It's February, it's dating season, here's what happens. It's March Madness, this is how somebody's going to steal your money, etc., etc., etc. Why don't we do this? It's freaking free for the most part. It's simple and it's easy. Passwords, for God's sakes. You know, when we help them understand how to fix their family rather than just saying, your ass is here from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. and I'm going to teach you enough to protect me. No, I'm going to teach you enough to protect your kids online, to protect grandma online, and everybody else. You bring them into the fold. Simple, easy things. Fix the human. God's help us, the flat network. How long have we had VLAN segmentation around for? What, 20, God knows how many years? And yet why, when we still plug into a corporate enterprise, do I find flat as pancake networks? And I can run into the warehouse, and as it says, find Windows XP running on the stupid thing, and I can break into everything else. But we have to have Windows XP because the vendor told us we can't upgrade it. Get the vendor, put them outside, put their feet in water, and taser them. We have to do a better job. You go to the healthcare facility and they're like, oh, you can't run a scan. It'll knock off all the healthcare monitors. It'll kill people. Hang on, if I scan your network and run a simple TCP scan, I knock shit off the network and people die. Why the fuck is it on the network? I'm the nice one. Again, take the vendor outside, cattle prod them for crying out loud. I don't care what you do. Do something simple. Don't accept mediocrity. Another breach situation. End of the year, got a phone call from who is now a client. They weren't a client. Got a phone call from a company. Hey, we've lost all our servers. Well, that's nice for you. How did you lose them? Well, we don't know. We can't get into them. And everything was basically ransomware. And we did our research, and they got in RDP, open to the outside. They've been pwned for about 12 months. Every country's proxy server known to mankind have been bouncing around their network. Why did they have RDP to the outside? Because the third-party IT guy decided it was the easiest way for him to get in. He almost got tasered. He got re-educated and reassigned. It's simple stuff. This is easy shit. I'm not talking about stuff. I'm not sitting there going, we've got a complex way to break in via a memory buffer over. No! You can still break in using frickin' SQL that you have on the outside. 15 years after we started breaking that stuff. And by the way, when the vendor says, hey, I got a new monitor for you, you get it, taser them. So simple. Let's stop putting the easy stuff out there. When the business goes, hey, we need to do this, and you're like, I'm not sure about that. And they go like, we're going to do it anyway. Put a freaking picture of me up and say, he's going to break into your network. And he will giggle as he's doing it, and he will give you your data back on pastebin. Help educate. And this is the other one. Good grief. How many organizations and how many of us still think we have a perimeter? We don't. Accept it. Have a nice day. It's gone. Bye-bye now. This is the stuff as you are talking to the organizations you are responsible for. Take some of this, put it on thick cardstock, and please beat people over their heads with it. I will even give you the cardstock. But this is one of the biggest challenges. You know, there are so many organizations out there going, I've got a purple blinky light and it's perfect for you. It'll stop the people at your perimeter. No, it bloody won't. When my fridge is reading my corporate email, where's my perimeter? It's easy stuff. And this is the simple stuff that we're still not doing. A lot of organizations that we work with want the easy button. The vendors, unfortunately, are good at giving them an easy button. Those of us in the know realize there isn't an easy button. We have to do a better job, A, as an industry, explaining there is no such thing as an easy button, and B, inside our organizations, educating the people that there isn't an easy button. This is the biggie, obviously, 24/7 eyes inside the organization. It's so freaking easy. It's so easy to engineer the human. How the hell do you know that we're not creeping around? Again, another one to put on cardstock and beat people around with. When we're going out and doing assessments, we will come in and like, you can attack us from the outside. I'm like, I don't want to do that. They're like, well, why not? I'm like, because I want to attack you from the inside, because guess what? That's where it comes from. And by the way, we're going to test you people. Oh, you can't do that. HR won't let you. Let's have a conversation with HR about this, shall we? Come in with statistics. Come in with education. We will work with you to educate your people. We're not here to embarrass them. We're here to help them. We're the nice ones. You've got options. You either have us help you nicely, or you're on the front page of the New York Times. It is entirely your choice. Vendors, partners, suppliers. This has been a big bugbear for a long time. You can replace the word cloud there if you want. I've got all my nice things and they're protected and I'm going to go put them with somebody else. Why are we not asking the awkward questions? So, looking outside the four walls, another one of the big issues. We're doing time-wise, we're good. How long am I talking for? Is it an hour? God, I hope it's not half an hour, otherwise I better wrap up real quick. Do we know, how long am I meant to be talking for? An hour. Thank you. 50, yeah, all right, that works. All right. So, for those of you that don't know Phoenix, Google him. He is an awesome guy. He harks from my general neck of the woods. He is fantastic. He basically has some amazing statistics on passwords and passphrases and all those kind of good things. The biggest one that they're talking about at the moment is a lot of the global organizations arguably have lost about a quarter to a third of their passwords already because we still haven't helped users understand the password you use at corporate is not the same one you use for Facebook. Or isn't the same one that you use on your social media, because guess what? That gets popped on a regular basis. I think he's sitting on about somewhere between 9 and 11 billion passwords and user accounts. Easy stuff. If I already have the passwords for 100 of your users, and I run that password list against some of your internal architecture, how much am I going to get? Two-factor, you guys get the idea. This is the simple stuff. So, education, integration, and then obviously a big shout out to XKCD. You know, another one of those, it's a simple one. When you have the argument with leadership, and they're like, well, I just need to make it easy. Guess what? We can actually make it easy. I can give you 4 things to remember, and if that doesn't work, I can give you other alternatives. But what I cannot do is have you be the attack vector for the company, or the corporation, or the entity. How do we make this simple for you? Do I get you something for thumbprints? Do I get you something for biometrics? Do I get you two-factor? I have to help you as leadership become more secure. Otherwise, your ass is going to be on the front page of the New York Times. It's not a do this or else. It is an education process. All right. As a vendor, kind of, for crying out loud, quit buying the 2018 purple blinky lights. I actually was at a conference yesterday, day before, whatever the hell day it was. And I found out afterwards that they spent the entire previous day and that morning having long conversations about user behavior analytics, next generation IDS, next generation firewall. And I come on there and I assassinated everything. It was quite fun to do. You can see the senior management go, oh shit, it's him. We need to help our organizations not buy into the hype. When the vendor says, we have an AI engine built into this, take them outside, take 2 of them outside, get them to hold hands together, get one of the new tasers that has the 3 prongs, and get them to share the experience. This is easy stuff. We invite these people in. Why? Because they're like, come and have a free lunch with us at the diner, or come and golf with us, or come and do shit with us at some conference or other. Congratulations, you've just sold yourselves. Don't do it. Or if you do, give them fake credentials, for God's sakes. All right. So why? Why are we actually talking about this? Why are we still talking about this? But why are we now talking about this even more vehemently, strongly, and nastily? Well, this is some of the reasons. This is the stuff that is A, here, and B, coming down the line like a frickin' freight train that we might be able to hack, but probably can't stop. All right, you get to look at another squirrel telling you about your nuts. I get to take a drink. So we all know IoT, yes? Anybody seen that slide before? That's IoT. The IoT that we tend to think about is this bit just up here. Devices, lifestyle, connected homes. We tend to not remember all the shit that happens with the industries, the industrial internet, all the platforms and other crap that happens with it. The industrial stuff, I'm heading to New York next week and we're going to have a nice conversation with I think it's who the hell is it? The stock exchange, about their IoT architecture. So if prices go to this next week, you know who to call. This is a mess. We all know it. We have to deal with it. We cannot get away from it. Start working out from a strategic standpoint how we best discuss it with the organizations. And we start looking at fintech, financial technology, taking the nice trusted brick and mortar banks and putting them on everybody's cell phones. Woo, great idea. We did some research last year on this one. 250 odd companies, 248 companies. I don't have the slide, I've just realized. It was 248 companies. We took a look at a decent chunk of those ones. 63 or 65% of them didn't have any security integrated into their product. And yet people are flocking to these in their droves. How do we help? How do we address it? How do we deal with this? All these wonderful questions. So, when you get banned from a number of airlines, you have to figure out how else you can travel. So these are a couple of slides from some stuff that we had been working on. We've messed around with other things. So you guys obviously know the heavy rail industry, yes? The heavy rail industry is awesome. You can actually make your own locomotives. How many of you guys had like train sets as kids? Now you can have them as adults too. So this is an intermodal cargo yard. This is actually a screenshot from one of their systems. User ID, admin, password blank to get into the system. At which point in time, if you look at the rail cargo yards, every single one of the little rail systems has basically got a big-ass RFID sticker on the side of it. So if you have a flat panel about the size of this, you can actually read what's coming in and out of the rail yard, or you just hijack some of their data points. Blade RF and Hack RF does an awesome job of doing that, by the way. So now you can actually read what's going in and out of these. If you get into the portable reading software and you start looking at what they're doing, you can actually start moving the carts around. So you can make your own damn trains. It's brilliant. So instead of the fruit juice train going from Florida and ending up in California, you can send half the fruit juice up to Canada and send, California sofas or dead animal or something like that. Much fun to be had. All protected with the user ID, admin, password. Yeah. So that was part of trains. Then we started looking at signals. So signals are a ton of fun. And you can actually buy some of this gear on eBay. So we did. We went out and we bought ourselves a switch because we wanted to know how these things worked. We did actually also plug into a couple of switches, but we're being recorded, so we won't say too much about that. But this is great. You can actually get into the GE system. User ID, as you can see, enter password. Harman, really hard. It's sitting on their user manual. So this is awesome. This gets you into the signaling equipment, gets you into the wayside equipment. So if you look at the train systems, about every mile to a mile and a half, there's a nice little metal shack. It's got a number on the outside. You can start referencing where these numbers are. So you can now start to communicate fairly easy and fairly quickly with these things. You can get in via cellular system. You can run a couple of 100-foot of Cat5 cable if you fancy picking the lock on the damn things. All sorts of fun ways into these. Or there's a couple of other ways. And again, we'll keep quiet on that one. But you guys know the crossing signals and all those fun systems? Well, there's a man not present button on these things. And we're like, aha, they're sneaky. I can't turn all the lights green or all the lights red or have the train go by with the signal go up because there's a man not present button that's on the front of the switch that means you shouldn't be able to actually do shit with these unless you decide to hack it. Because the man not present button is on a separate memory bank with shared space. So all you have to do is attack in as a man-in-the-middle attack, overflow the memory, which is easy enough to do if you actually hack it at the application layer. By the way, user ID, GE, password, GE. Gets you into the management interface. Run it through Burp Suite, hit an attack on it, put a payload on it. You can now overflow some of the architecture. At which point you can bypass the man not present button. So if you fancy turning 100 foot of track all green in both directions, this is how you do it. End results, something like this. We also messed around with cows a few years ago as well. We messed around with cows because I had the Blade RF running. I was driving back from Wyoming back to Colorado, and I was driving through the middle of Wyoming, and this damn Blade RF kept on pinging at me, and I'm like, the hell is here? It's freaking middle of bloody Wyoming. There's cows. If you get out of the car and approach a cow, which you have to do very carefully apparently, didn't realize that at the time, they got pedometers on these damn things, and the RFID tags in them have got GPS-enabled systems. And you're like, well, this is freaking awesome. Then you start doing some research and you realize it's a Windows-based system that's behind it. So you're like, well, this is easy. And then you're like, there's a whole bunch of companies that sell herd management software. This stuff is great. It's Windows, it's actually better now. I think it's like Windows, it was Vista for a while. I think it's like Windows 8 now. The updated stuff is like Windows 8 with an access database behind it. That's great. So as the cow's got these RFID tags going on these things, you can actually get into the access database. Because what happened is, I come along as the sales guy. I'm like, Mr. Farmer, I've got a package for you. It'll make your cows much happier. And he's like, oh, I'll buy it. And they plug all the cows. So now the farmer knows exactly where the cows are. So the whole concept here is, A, over thousands of acres they can track the sodding things, but also if prices of dead animal go up and down, they can herd them all the buggers up and get them off the market. And they can do health monitoring and health checking and all sorts of other great stuff. But the problem is it's on an access database that the guy who sold the shit to the poor farmer has got a back end in to monitor and manage it with the default user ID and password that's published on the internet. So being good people that we are, we got into a bunch of these things. We're like, well, this is fun. And then we reset all the GPS coordinates to a friend of mine's house in the middle of Arvada, Colorado. At the last time of checking, I think he had about 2.5 million head of cow living in his house. And there's some poor farmer going, goddamn fucking software, my cow's here, and it tells me it's in goddamn Colorado. Apparently, cattle rustling is actually a federal crime, but it doesn't extend to the electronic realm yet. The other fun thing you can do. So this is food chain, yes? Food chain, kind of important, want to kind of keep people healthy. So this was great. Oh yeah, oh shit. So, top left-hand side. This is another one of those. Company goes in and goes, Mr. Farmer, I can help you, or Miss Farmer, I can help you understand how your cows are doing with milking them. And no longer do you have to milk them, you can automate the whole thing. And as it comes in and it sits there and it gets all the automatic milking thing and it buggers off. Great, but on the middle of all of this, I can tell you how good the milk is and how happy the cow is. And they'd have all of this. And so as these things are going through these automatic milking machines, it's actually pulling all the intelligence out. But the really sophisticated ones can actually drug the damn cow up. So they can do near real-time analysis on the milk and go, the cow's not happy. Give it some happy drugs. If it's in Colorado, it gets, hemp seed. God only knows what it gets in this neck of the woods. But anyway, so you can do this. So the nice thing about it is they can do all this analysis on all the drugs. Well, this one's a little better protected. This is actually an admin password and user ID on this one. And it's also a nice database. But the nice thing about this is if you're feeling friendly and you have Showdown and you know exactly what you're looking for, you too can get into the cow's database. And you can adjust the milk, you can adjust the settings, and you can adjust the drugs that are going into both the cow and the milk. So at this point in time, I can make the cows happy or kill them, and I can poison the milk. This is in Europe, it's all over Wales, it's half of bloody UK, it's basically mainland Europe. Last checking that we had about 30 to 40 million head of cattle, or cows, milking cows, that we could actually get our hands on. So, there's your food chain gone down the drains. Everybody good so far? Good, let's talk about nanotechnology. So this is some of the fun stuff. This is why we have to care about this stuff, because it's still so freaking easy. How many of you guys are familiar with nanotechnology or biotechnology or bio-nano? All right, quick step for the rest of everybody. How are we doing time-wise? We're good. All right, so simple. Nanotubes are nano what? Basically small-ass, strong, hard, nasty, thermal, weird piece of crap made from a carbon architecture. We'll keep it as that. You can actually fit into damn things. This is the size of the little crit as well. Human hair on that side, carbon nanotube array, stereoscopy. You see it, they are small. It is a molecular-based computer. It is no longer a simple molecular-based system. It is now a machine. This is where we were a couple of years ago. Back in 2006, we were teaching the nanocarbon tubes how to actually recognize simple shapes, simple architectures, simple mechanisms. This is where we were about 48 months ago. We can make a carbon nanotube, we can attach a carbon tail to it, we can apply a frequency to it, and we can make it swim around the body. Great. We can also teach collectively how to recognize certain codes. Why do we need to do that? Because as it's swimming around the body, we need to help it recognize chemicals. The whole idea of these is to help humans. I.e., cancer at the moment means you stand in something akin to a nuclear bloody power plant and you get radiated. It's not pretty. You have something like this, you can drop it into the body at a molecular level, it will find the actual cell. Nice, simple, much more effective. How do we communicate with it? For those of you that remember your old coding language, it's Cello and Verilog. It's basically BASIC on steroids. We actually can code on the computer system. I've got the actual program running on the computer. I can encode it, and then I change it to a frequency wave, and then I basically modulate that frequency wave through either MRI scanner, near-field communication, or in the case of some of these, Bluetooth, which is ever so secure as we're aware. Yeah, you see where this is going. That's how we communicate with this stuff. What are we doing with it today? Well, we're doing all sorts of fun things. We can actually choose which sperm fertilizes. So that's great. Nice natural selection just goes out the window. This is actually under a microscope. You can see what the hell's gone on. Carbon nanotube architecture wrapped around a sperm and turbo powers it. We can also put it on, as it shows on here. We can put them basically on the stitches. So now we can tell whether it's repairing, whether you have other kinds of issues. It's getting into the body, it's getting into the system and everything else. This is all being done and being experimented with and everything else. And the technology they're using, typical healthcare, is big and bloody expensive. What do we use? Well, we use an Arduino. About $100 worth of gear, and you too can communicate with carbon nanotubes. So if you really want to get down to how to look at hacking a human, that is how we're hacking humans these days. And you can imagine all the fun and games you can have if you modulate the frequency slightly different. So instead of that carbon architecture going after, I don't know, cancer cells or Alzheimer's cells, it goes after red blood cells. Or I infect, or I do all sorts of other things. So again, why do we have to actually worry about security, and why do we have to start getting it right? Because we're now dropping shit into humans. Couldn't help it. I love the dinosaur one. So for those of you who are not paranoid enough, I'm about to give everybody the tinfoil hat moment. Let's hack the brain. This is way more fun. This is not social engineering. It is also not this. Yeah, you didn't need that at 9 o'clock in the morning, did you? Yeah, it's not that either. It is some of this. So this is mapping the brain. Now, these are really cool, but they make you look like a complete prat. But there's better ways of doing it. That's actually my brain. Top left-hand side is my brain. That's my brain looking at a computer. Top right-hand side are the last God knows how many hundred times of me looking at a computer. What I actually did is I took some of these previous things apart, took the major EEG monitors, took another pair of glasses, and put 4 monitors on here, hooked them up to basically back here, got a nice basically RFID reader, put it into Bluetooth, and now put it into the computer. And the whole logic on this is to do this. I need to build a modulator to detect us. Here's the logic. We have been bitching about passwords for what, 20 odd years, 25 plus years? Why do we have to deal with passwords when our very simple existence should be the simple signature that gets us into whatever the hell we should have access to? How do I unlock us? We have 4 main lobes up here. If I can read sufficient data off of those 4 main lobes, and I can have my brain recognize the simple fact I'm looking at my computer, or my, not this phone, but my Android phone in one of my cars, and I can pull that recorded data out, cross-reference it with a couple of other signals, and then have a similar program running on the other end, I don't need to worry about a password. I walk up, I think about the system, hopefully without too many squirrel moments in the meantime, or doing all sorts of other weird shit, baseline the signal, get it over to where I need to do, and it goes, hi, let's let you in. It's running on 3 systems now. Here's the logic on it. We can basically build an authentication model. You can't be coerced. It sure as hell can't be hacked as easily. And the simple existence that we have provides the access necessary. Now, you do look like a bit of a dork at the moment with 4 EEG monitors plugged into the side of your damn glasses, but there's other stuff that we're working on. So the downside, unfortunately, hacking the brain for fun has been good. I've been working on it for about the last 12 months, and I'm running through this very, very quickly. We're messing around with this for about a year or so. We've got it to the stage where I've trained the brain both civilized, uncivilized, angry, annoyed, happy, with alcohol. Alcohol is awesome when trying to recognize computer systems. The downside for the tinfoil hats is there's no way to protect the brain. DARPA has figured out a way to pull signals off from about 6 inches away from the brain. So no longer do we have to have invasive, semi-wet, dry, or anything else. We can pull signals off from about out here at the moment. So that's going to get really interesting. We're also, some of the stuff I'm messing around with is how to put stuff in. Not only take out, but how to actually put stuff back in again. There's some really fun stuff that we're messing around with. So, we are going to have to be a little bit careful on this one, otherwise this is where we're going to be again. And this is why we're going to be that way. So what do we do? Well, we're getting close, so let's have a bit of a wrap-up. I love my squirrels, as most of you know. This is what I needed this morning. So, that's the future that we're heading for. We have a couple of different pathways that we as humanity are going to go. Let's face it, quite honestly, at this point in time, if an intelligence environment wakes up in the next couple of years, it is going to take a look at humanity and go, what the fuck have you been doing in the driving seat? Hopefully we'll just simply get relegated to sitting on the sofa. That'd be a nice situation. We are putting more technology into ourselves. The whole concept of nanoarchitectures, bioarchitectures, we're putting the very same technology that we can't protect on the outside, and we're building it into ourselves. At the same time, the stuff with the brains, we're looking at uploading consciousness. How much of ourselves can we theoretically basically end up putting in here? And we're talking about all of this and we still haven't fixed passwords. So what do we do about it collectively? You, a lot of you are the future. Some of us have got quite a bit of gray hair. A lot of you have got to take over and hopefully do a better job than we've done. Because that's what we're facing. And it's not pretty. So final thoughts. Back to the red versus blue. Blue has got to win. End of discussion. If you are red teaming and you want to be red in spandex, take the frickin' spandex off. None of us look good in red spandex, let's face it. And help the organization. The fact that they are not listening is not their fault. Collectively, we together have to do a better job. We have to communicate more effectively and efficiently. We have to find what makes that breakthrough into communication. We've got to do a better job of it. We've got to get the basics fixed. I mean, let's be perfectly freaking honest. When I can still break into you with SQL 1433 and I can still get in an RDP, why the hell are we buying all the next gen crap? Not a good argument. Don't have a perimeter, and for crying out loud, taser the fricking vendor who comes in and goes, I've got a fix for you. They have multi-pronged tasers now. Not only can you get them with 3 prongs, there's 2 cartridge tasers. You get 2 for the price of 1. Use it effectively and efficiently, please. And as the reason we're here, as it was said, this is the 400th B-Sides. We need to make a difference. The reason we have B-Sides is to make a difference. That's all of us, collectively. So, found the slide. Douglas Adams. Thank you very, very, very much. Do we have questions? We got what, 5 minutes, 10 minutes? I got to get the hell out of here. Questions? Remember the testosterone? Yeah, go for it.
What's the motivation of vendors and red teams to work with blue teams? Because vendors have to protect their own specialty of what makes them different from everyone else, and the red teams have this exclusive prestige of what they do.
The exclusive prestige is these. That's it. Take the fucking things off. Put the balls away. Put the testosterone away. And work in a collaborative manner. That way, guess what? Stuff gets fixed. That's the prestige. The prestige isn't going, I broke you. The prestige is, hey, the client that's paying me is actually better. That's the prestige. The prestige now comes from the fact that you've made a difference. Not that you've broken into something. Guess what? We can all break into something. You are not a special snowflake. The difference is when you walk in as a red team and go, and the company goes, I need a pen test. No, you don't. What you need is somebody to come in and help you understand security, to help you understand how to be better, to put a 3-year roadmap, to put a maturity model in place. That's the prestige, is actually watching a company grow, is watching a CEO, a CFO, and a CXO suddenly go, oh shit, now I get it. That's the prestige.
So the motivation is to change the client or educate them.
Exactly. Thank you for that question, because that's freaking huge. Yes?
So I work for Team Blue, and I've got a manager who I was lucky to talk to a security company
Yeah.
and got it, and actually asked that I go to DEF CON and get security training and make classes to train our employees.
Yeah.
I used to work for places where that wasn't the case, and I wasn't so lucky.
Yeah.
Any advice?
Yeah. Do it as an underground thing. Just because your company goes, we're going to train them once a year. Number one, you have the official channel. Let's go talk to HR. Let me help HR understand how to better look after my employees. Looking after my employees isn't just once a year, patting them on the head and going, you're special. It is continually reinforcing it. We all have this issue with workforce. Everybody has this issue with retention. If I can help your employees better actually protect their families, their friends, their kids, that's a hell of a non-monetary, non-tangible based thing. And if that doesn't work, do the freaking underground thing. Start doing lunch and learns. Get people around lunch tables. Go, hey, we're going to do an informal thing. We're going to have everybody who wants to come along. Totally informal, totally off the books. Just get people along and start letting that word out. Don't sit there and whine and bitch and complain that you can't do anything. There's a lunchroom in your company. Get as many people that want to come in there and start doing the fun stuff. Go, hey, we're going to do a meeting in January. January, we're going to talk about basically tax fraud. You'd be amazed how many people suddenly get around that shit and start thinking about it. That's how you make a difference. Does that make sense? And that's a lot of it. A lot of it isn't just sitting there going, I can't. We're fucking hackers, for God's sakes. When have we ever taken no for an answer? Simple as that. When the company goes, you can't do that. Fuck you. I'm going to actually protect, not just protect the assets I'm in here to protect, I'm going to help protect the very people. Because at the end of the day, you start looking at black reports and everything, that's the barrier, that's the gate that really has to actually look after the company. Not the blinky light shit that's sitting there going, I told you the data went that way. That's the only way we're going to make this work. Does that help answer it? Thank you. Other questions? All right. Oh, go on, sorry. Oh, God, that's easy. Maturity model. Do we have 30 seconds? All right. All right, you guys are going to see this, and, well, it is what it is. All right, hang on. Vorhin-Gestest. There it is, maturity model. And this, so if you want access to the Dropbox, this bloody thing's sitting out there. I have it on here deliberately, and it's, yes, we built it, yes, we made it years ago, and all those kind of weird shit, but you know what, I don't care. It's where it should be. Everybody needs to have access to it. This is simple. That is a simple spreadsheet, and yes, it's squishy, and yes, we can look at it afterwards. Here, I'll expand it. This is basically a 2-hour, at most, conversation with a company, where you quickly go through and say, where are your policies? Where's your documentations? Where's your scope? Are you non-existent? Hey, that'd be really nice to have some of that. Great, you're here. Are you initial, repeatable, defined, optimized, those stuff? Simple, easy things. And what ends up coming out of this is that. It is a very easy to understand. Hey, as an organization, physical and environmental security, we have basic security in place. Great, you know that you're at an initial stage. Where do you have to be from a fiduciary standpoint? Where do you have to be from a compliance standpoint? Where the hell do you want to be? It is a simple metric saying they're not aligned or aware, basic checks are in place, checks and balances are in place, shit's working, shit's great, we're heading shit up. It's, we basically broke it down this way. As simple as it's like 60 bloody questions. That's it. And within 2 hours, you can stick a stake in the ground and go, this is where the organization is. This is completely irrespective of PCI, HIPAA, FERC, NERC, any of the other stuff. It's a stake in the ground to say, here, you're here, 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 and here. By the way, from a fiduciary standpoint, you need to be here. From a compliance standpoint, you need to be here. Here's how we get you there. Definable, repeatable, it's a simple metric. What we are building is another layer on top of this. We all know what a credit score is, yes? If I turn around and say my credit score is 500, you look at me and go, you suck. If I go at 600, you're like, you're okay-ish, you still suck. If it's 700, you're like, you're cute and fuzzy. If it's 800, you're like, let me just give you as much money as I can. Yes? Kind of the way it goes, yes? We are building that exact same model into the security. We've been asked to do it by a couple of organizations who do insurance. They want to look at a ship, a building, and other stuff. They want one simple number. So we're going to do the same thing for this. We will be able to walk in very easily and go, your company is a 500, your company is a 650, your ship is a 300. I know, shut up, I got to get off stage. That's what we're building. It's simple, defined metrics. Let's make it idiot-proof and easy so that everybody can understand it. All right, with that.
Let me do a little bit of housekeeping right here.
Yes.
Ryan Meads, is Ryan in here?
Right here.
Right, okay, Ryan, if you'll stop by the table out there, we've got something for you. You were in the drawing. Dallas Hannah also picked up a bash bunny just a little while ago. So we'll be doing a couple of drawings after every one of the presentations. Chris, if you wouldn't mind standing over here, I'm sure there are a lot of people who would like to.
Let me go. Yeah, we'll go have conversations.
Because this is great. Brian Glass is going to be in here immediately. Kyle will be right down here in the section 2. Thank you all very much for the engagement. Thank you.